The market failure is of course something which affects the market. Now again question comes, how government is going to play an important role to help the public or an economy to come out of market failure. That is what is a main for this chapter, that is unit number 3 in chapter number 2, government intervention to correct the market failure. Let's see how. The chapter includes different steps taken by government to correct the market failure. The question comes, what exactly government does? Government intervention is for minimizing the effects of market power. We have seen the first reason of market failure is market power. So what government does? It minimizes the effect of market power. How? Of course, let's see. Second, to correct the effects of externalities. The externalities we have seen, that is the negative externalities affects the market, and that is why it should be reduced. So second job of government is to correct the effects of externalities. Third is government intervention in case of merit goods, the goods which are highly needed by the general public. Of course, in case of demerit goods, the goods which are affecting the general public or society. Government intervention in case of public goods, that is the freely available goods for public. How government takes care of it? Government intervention by non-market pricing. It is not disturbing the prices, it is not interfering the pricing system, but still it is trying to create the control on it. That is called as government intervention by market pricing. Next comes government intervention for correcting the information failure. We have seen that the fourth reason is incomplete information. So how it works exactly, that we will check. And the last one is government intervention for equitable distribution. We have seen that if the distribution is not proper, then it will affect the economy and leads to market failure. So in these 8 different areas, government is going to play the role. Let's see how. So let's see how the market power effect is minimized by the steps of government. Market failure, market power. The market power generally comes from monopoly or the monopolistic situations. It directly affects the best utilization of resources. We have seen in earlier chapter also that when there is a monopoly or such kind of situation, the resources will not be utilized perfectly because the decision makers will produce such goods which are giving the maximum profit. So what government does in this case? It needs government intervention, thus government forms the acts to control it. Like in India, we have the Competition Act. In US, there is Antitrust Act. So such kind of acts, what they do actually, the act creates the control on the monopoly. When there is a monopoly created, then the businesses will be subdivided and the competition will be continued. That is what is the objective. The ultimate effect is to curb the monopoly. It promotes the healthy competition in the market. Sometimes government also compete with private sector. So in some areas government will also enter. For example, Maruti Udyog Limited was a combination of private and public ownership that has given a very good effect. So it enters in a competitive market. Or indirectly helps the private sector to get the boost like tax benefit. So if there is a competition in a particular area, then government will give some tax holidays to new entrants in the area so that the competition will automatically increase. It will reduce the monopoly, market power will come down and there will not be market failure. Ultimately, the resources are used perfectly as the producers enters in the market and the market failure can be controlled. So these are the steps which government takes to control the market power which leads to the market failure. Second comes government intervention to correct the effect of externalities. Externalities we have seen, it is the effect of the act of one person on the other unrelated person, like pollution created by the companies. It's a passive example of market failure. Ultimately, it leads to the market failure. The externalities cost is never considered in total cost that we have already studied. Negative externalities leads to the market failure at a great extent. What government can do in this now? The government can take direct steps against those creating the externalities, like higher taxes or penalties will be charged on the pollution creating organizations, or promote the positive externalities by some incentives. If there is any positive externality, like if a company is involved in a higher level of training and these trained employees will be useful for other companies in future, government may give some subsidies or tax benefits to them. The government prohibits the use of certain raw materials. Such kind of raw material which may create pollution will not be allowed to be used. That step government can surely take. Also, it charges special taxes on pollution generating goods. If I have 4 products, out of this, last 4th product is creating a pollution, it's a process, I cannot do anything, it creates the pollution, but it is required for the society. In that case, maybe I will be charged at a higher rate for creation of pollution. The strict restrictions can be imposed, like ban on plastic bags. That we have seen, there is a ban on plastic bags in some particular areas. You are not allowed to use it. Obviously, it's a government step. It can also charge emission fees per unit. For example, where there is a pollution, per unit emission charges can also be collected. Such taxes are introduced by A.C. Pigou, thus called as Pigouvian taxes. He introduced such kind of taxes that if any particular activity is creating the pollution or creating the negative externality, we should charge higher taxes on that organization, so called as Pigouvian taxes. Due to such taxes, the pollution creating producers has to increase their selling price. It will reduce the demand for pollution creating units, obviously. Also, it will demotivate him to produce that particular product. It will also reduce the marginal social cost that we have already discussed. That is the cost paid for controlling the pollution ultimately. So, in this way, the externalities can be controlled by charging higher tax. So, let's see what is shown in the graph. This is marginal private cost and this is benefit. So, this is the price decided. We have seen this graph earlier also. When the higher taxes are charged, obviously the social cost increases, price is to be increased and the demand comes down due to the law of demand. So that's why ultimately the pollution controlling units will reduce their production and it is the step taken by government. On externalities, the practical problem is to identify such kind of things and how exactly it should be taxed. It's a complex process. Of course, it is definitely a complex process, but it has to be done. Also, it may affect the overall production. The producer may charge whole tax on the goods having inelastic demand. For example, if I am producing 3 products and if first 2 are creating the pollution but the third one is not actually creating pollution but it is required for society, I will charge all the taxes on it. I will increase its selling price because it's an inelastic commodity. Demand is definitely to be there. So what I will do is I will earn amount from it. So such kind of things may happen in case of higher taxes to avoid externalities. One another way is called as cap and trade policy, which government can use, and generally it is also used. Here the government gives a quota or a cap for using the pollutant material. Every firm has to purchase that much pollutant raw material only. This much raw material will be available. Beyond this level, you cannot purchase this raw material. Such material is charged at a very high tax so that ultimately the selling price will be high and people will get demotivated to use that. It increases the selling price of the product of such firm. Also, non-pollutant products are available at cheap prices. Higher taxes are charged on pollution creating units, so non-pollutant products are available at cheap prices. People may go towards that product in the larger life or the larger time span. It's an easy way to control the externality, but it may affect the overall production to higher taxes, higher taxes, higher taxes. It makes or gives a demotivation to the producer and the production will come down, leading to the unemployment also. Government can also take positive steps to promote the positive externality. Whenever there is a positive externality, government will take the steps. As we discussed, it may give them some subsidies or tax benefits also. Like special subsidy to those who create the positive externality. Now what will happen in that case? This is the price which I am ready to decide, but I get some social benefits. So what I will do is I will give the higher quantity, maybe at the same price. I will not increase the price, but as I am getting social benefit in the form of the tax benefits or subsidies, I can increase the quantity in the market, or maybe I can make the same product available at a cheaper price. So that is what is an advantage given to the products creating positive externality. So that was all about the steps taken by government to avoid the negative externality and to get the benefits, more and more benefits of positive externality. Now let's see government intervention in case of merit goods. These are the goods highly needed by every citizen, for example education, healthcare, etc. These are highly competitive in nature. Everyone wish to go to school, so obviously there is going to be a competition. Also are rival and excludable. if you pay the fees of my school, then only you are my student, otherwise you are not. It's a very simple equation. So this is excludable, and rival means there is a competition to get an admission. For example, if the education is very costly, poor families will avoid it or ignore it, obviously. These goods are highly ignored. So why these are ignored? If it is very costly, then maybe poor families will think it's not required for our family. Let's not send our child to the school. The government takes positive steps toward it, like free education to below poverty level family children or civil hospitals for those who are poor, etc. So such kind of steps are taken by government to make the merit goods available. It increases the motivation among people to consume such products. If a lower cost medicine is available in civil hospital, then everyone will wish to take, or when he will prefer to take the medicine, and the life expectancy will go up. If the education is available at free or at very low cost, then everyone will try sending their child to the school. It reduces the welfare loss to the society. Not sending someone to school, not going to hospital is a social loss. So it will ultimately reduce that loss. Let's see how. So this is the marginal social benefit when the benefit is increased and the cost is reduced. Ultimately the lower cost products are available, the medicines are available at lower cost. Obviously the consumption will go up. These are private hospital prices, so maybe a poor person may not go to hospital, but when the medicines are available at the lower cost, then he will go and consume the product, that is medicines, the quantity will go up. That is an advantage of giving the services by the government. So welfare loss due to unproduction can be reduced by government steps like civil hospitals or municipal corporation schools. But it creates some limitations too. If the merit goods are given free of cost, then the demand shall exceed the supply. Obviously, when something is free, the demand is always very high. So this may also happen that the supply is this much, but the demand is this much. So government has to charge a little price for it, because the question may occur that why civil hospital is not giving free services and free medicines. It must be charged, otherwise it will create a problem of demand and supply. So that was all about the merit goods and government contribution towards it. That was the third point. Now going towards the fourth one, government intervention in demerit goods. Demerit goods means something which affects the society. These are the goods which are highly undesirable to the society, like cigarettes or alcohol, etc. These are highly competitive in nature and unfortunately high profit giving too. Such kind of products are always giving very high profit, and because the quantity of consumption is also very high, so competitive is also there and profit giving is also there. Generally, demand for these goods is more than the supply. Generally, it creates a negative externality. Of course, such kind of goods gives a negative externality that we have already seen. Every goods creating negative externality is not a demerit good. So yes, this must also be remembered that if a product is creating the negative externality, doesn't mean it's a bad goods. For example, it's when in a process of steel there is a pollution creation factor, it doesn't mean that steel is a demerit goods. It is a good factor or a required goods. It's a merit goods. Government charges higher taxes on demerit goods. It must be luxury tax, or the higher taxes are charged from cigarettes or alcohol. It also creates de-advertising like health note given on the pack of cigarettes, that cigarette smoking is injurious to health. So that is what is printed on the pack itself. Sometimes the prohibition is also created like ban on gutkha. Additional restrictions like no cigarette shop allowed in 2 kilometers from school or colleges can also be done. See how many steps government try to take to avoid the evil effects of the demerit goods. That is what is government intervention. High taxes makes the product costlier, but very high tax rate can demotivate the industry also. You will say it's okay, if it is demotivated then the cigarette companies will be closed down, but what about the employment opportunities created by them, taxes contributed by them? That is also important for government. Government can also fix a minimum price below which the product cannot be sold. It will reduce the consumption of such product. This is a minimum price below which you cannot sell it. Let's see how. So this is the price decided, but ultimately when the minimum price is given, you have to sell it at the higher price. Otherwise you are ready to sell it at this price, but government has decided that the selling price must be this much. So you will have to increase the price, and obviously the quantity will come down. That is what is the objective of government, to decide the minimum price. So that was fourth in case of demerit. Now going towards the next, government intervention in case of public goods which are required by public. In case of public goods to be given free of cost, like the parks, the municipal corporation parks are generally to be given free of cost. Government creates the provision for taxes, tax revenues for it. Government has to spend. It's a feel-good factor for us, so government has to bear the cost. For public goods which can be charged, sometimes you will have to pay the charges. Either government charges the entry fees for it or joins hand with private sector. For example, toll roads. Roads are public assets and you are having all the rights to use it. But if it is a toll road, you have to pay the toll and then only you are allowed to use it. So such kind of things can also be done by government. So the expenditure is handed over to the private sector. In some cases, government allow private sector to produce public goods also, of which some part is made available at discounted rates to public. For example, ration shop. If you are having a sugar factory, then 20% of your produce must be handed over to government at a very low rate so that is made available at the ration shop. So here, government is not manufacturing anything, but still it is contributing to society. That is what is government intervention in public goods. Next comes sixth point, that is government intervention by non-market prices. Now government is not taking any step to control the market price, still it is having some intervention. How? Here the government keeps control on the pricing system. It can decide the minimum selling price. Sometimes the minimum purchasing price is also decided. For example, minimum support price for cotton, that is a government price, we call it as. So if the market price is lower than government price, the farmer will go to government, government will have to purchase at that price, so farmers will not suffer the losses. But if the market price is higher, then farmer can go in the market and he can purchase it from there. Sometimes the minimum purchasing price is also decided, that we have seen. Such minimum prices safeguard the interest of farmers. For workers also the minimum wage rates are decided by government, so their safeguard is also created. So what happens in that case when the minimum price is decided? So this is the minimum selling price. Even though market says that this is the price, still a farmer will get the minimum price at higher rate, so he will supply more. So the supply will be more in the market and farmer will get a proper price. That is the advantage of government intervention by minimum decision of price. Sometimes the maximum price is decided above which you cannot purchase the product. In that case, the prices will automatically come down and the demand will be more in the market. So that can also be created by government. So that was government intervention, but not through the prices, apart from prices. The second last point is government intervention for correcting the information failure. As we have seen, the information is not available, so the market may fail, that we have seen in the earlier unit. So what government does? It takes place due to buyer or seller is unaware about some facts, that is the non-availability of information. Here, government compel the producer to print the details on the carton like MRP, ingredients in the products, etc. If you purchase a product, everything is printed on it. What is MRP? That is maximum retail price or the selling price ultimately, above which you cannot charge. What is the expiry date? What are the ingredients? Everything is printed, so the information is available with the consumer. Also, the data is published by government itself. The public government data is available, you can check it. The advertisement by government to create awareness is also done, like Jago Grahak Jago. Such kind of advertisement are published by government so that the consumer will be aware about it. That was the seventh point, the government intervention. Now the last point, government intervention for equitable distribution. We have seen unequal distribution of resources and income leads to market failure. What government does for this? Equal distribution of resources and income is the basic right of everyone. Government helps through the tools like progressive taxes. We have seen direct taxes are increasing, so higher amount is collected from the rich person, and it is used for the poor person. Some resources or businesses may be kept reserved for a special category. For example, cottage industries are having some reservations. Other examples are job reservations, unemployment payments, land reforms, or steps taken again, the bringing back the black money, etc. Such kind of things are done or steps taken by government for equitable distribution. Just imagine if the amount which we call as a black money in other countries are brought back to India, everyone will get benefit of it. Of course, it needs a long process and legal things also. So such kind of things are done by government. So in this way, these are 8 steps taken by government, or 8 areas in which government intervention is there, and it gives benefits to avoid the market failure and to give the equitable and justifiable distribution of everything to every one of us. So this was the unit number 3 of chapter 2, government intervention to correct the market failure.